I'm Johnny, this is Johnny Likes, and today I'm talking about an action sci-fi movie from the 90s, which is off of my I Finally Watched That playlist, which is just a bunch of random movies that I've been meaning to watch for some while. Some a long while, some a short while. So today, I finally watched Death Machine.
You tell him, Johnny. You tell the world.
It's the near future, and the awkwardly named and spelt Chank Corporation, which specializes in bleeding-edge combat tech, has a new CEO, Hayden Cale, whose job is to clean up their public image, which is bad. Why is it bad? Because they are doing bad things and getting called out for it. Cale does some digging around the company and discovers that the scientist who's responsible for all their innovation is kind of crazy. He's been building a death machine that looks like a beefed up version of the Mouser from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One night, Stockman, that's not his name, but I'm going to call him Stockman for the rest of the review. His actual character's name is Jack Dante and he's played by Brad Dourif, but Stockman. So one night, Stockman sicks his Mouser on Richard Brake, in his first film role, by the way. So Brake is dead, and he is found, and Cale is called into the office to sort it all out. And fate would have it that this is the same night that a group of eco-terrorists have decided to break into and rob the building. The rest of the night is Cale and the eco-terrorists on the run from Stockman as he tries to hunt them down with his Mouser. Or as he calls it, the War Beast, which I can only assume is the original title of the movie, and they just never got around to calling the project Death Machine instead of War Beast. As I was watching this movie, I was playing Spot the Influences. I could see the Terminator in the unstoppable one-minded killing machine. I could see Die Hard in the office building setting with a robbery going on. I could see Blade Runner in the look of the outside world and the Chank building itself. I could see Ninja Turtles in that the death machine looks straight up like a Mouser. And I could see RoboCop in the cybernetics aspect.
I'll be back.
The movie was derivative of these works, but it had enough originality that it kind of worked for me. There are themes from all these movies, but it didn't feel like a clone of any one of them. It took a chunk of each of them and combined it into something new but familiar. They also weren't shy about naming their influences. Just look at the character names in the movie. Sam Raimi, John Carpenter, Wayland, Yatani, Scott Ridley, Jack Dante. I'm not sure why they went with Jack Dante instead of just Joe Dante, as they already had Sam Raimi and John Carpenter. But they did. This was written and directed by Stephen Norrington, who also did Blade, and, unfortunately, A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Hated it. Both Norrington and Sean Connery actually retired after that film, and it wasn't because it was so successful or an artistic triumph. But enough about that. I really liked Blade when it came out. Loved it, and a lot of the visual style of Blade is evident in this film, which was a lot of fun for me to spot and kind of compare. I always like it when a director has enough of a voice to stand out. And the visual elements in common that I spotted were the uber-modern architecture and office spaces, the blood on chrome, or blood on polished silver. The general dark gray and blue color palette of Blade is here in spots. It's not quite as pronounced, but it's there. So I think this is a great example of what a low-budget movie is capable of. It's doing the best with what it has, and it's actually elevating itself to near A-movie level, in my opinion. And here's why. First, you could have subbed in bigger stars for nearly all of the roles, and it wouldn't have changed the film all that much. Like, say, if you were to sub in Julia Roberts for Ellie Pouget's role. Would the movie have changed all that much? Or would it just be face recognition? Second, this was Stephen Norrington's first film as a director. He started out on the FX side of stuff, so he knows what needs to be done in order to make the FX work, and it really shows here. All the special effects are pretty good for the budget and era. The soldier outfit that Waylon wears could have looked a little bit heftier. It does seem like it's a little bit light and cheap at times. And you can see some of the limitations of the Death Machine itself. But even if you were to pump up the FX budget and make everything look better, how much would that have improved the film? These are already pretty good looking effects, right? Third, the premise is decent. Sure, it's not the most original or complex thing in the world, but at this movie's heart, it's a monster movie about a killer robot. And so the plot doesn't have to be super complex, and the characters are competent even if they are stereotypical. I would have been super pumped if I would have seen this movie in the 90s as a kid. It's a killer robot movie with all the influences of movies that I had seen and mostly loved. It's a tad long and it could have used a little bit more originality, but overall it's pretty solid. And I was kind of impressed watching it. It has visual style, the special effects are good for the budget, and the acting was pretty decent all around. A little bit hammy at times, but didn't really bother me all that much. And I'm going to rate this movie a 3.5 out of 5. Had the script been a little bit better, Shakespeare, this was not, and the Death Machine itself been a little bit less cartoonish and more menacing perhaps, I think this could have been an actually really good movie. It just doesn't quite get there. Still, for the class of film that it's in, excellent example. So fun fact, I couldn't really figure out where else to put in the review, but Rachel Weisz is in this ever so briefly. She plays junior executive and gets 1 or 2 lines, 10 or 15 seconds on film, and she's gone. It was unexpected, but still very nice to see her early on in their career. Now before I forget, we gotta mark this film off the watch list for OCD and dopamine purposes. And so let's do that now, and wasn't that nice? Just like 75, 80 more movies to go. I am going to do all these movies in review form, by the way, whether I like them or not, so you have that to look forward to over the next several years. So what did you think of Death Machine? Have you seen it? Do you remember seeing it on the shelves, in the video store, in the 90s, early 2000s? I do. I remember asking my mom to rent it one time, and she said no, because she saw the cover and the title, which is fair, although I didn't think the movie was all that graphic, totally could have handled it. So while you're here, you've watched all my ranting about movies. You want to see more of this? I'm amassing a catalog of random movie reviews. And also subscribe, that's what I'm going for here. Subscribe, that's the one. It's quick, free, and relatively painless. Plus it helps me out. Thanks for watching me talk about movies for a little bit, and you can tune in next time to see what else Johnny likes.